Hi everybody. This this video is going to be about how to play Desktop Dynasties. So, when you start the game up, this is the screen you're going to be shown right away. Just click the click to continue button and you'll get to the basic files screen here. So your first game especially, you'll want to start a new game. If you just click that right now, you'll get the warning to input game name. So just type something in here. So we'll call this league my New Test League. So this will be the name of your league save folder. It just has to be nothing special there. It just has to be unique. So after you put your name in there, click Start a New Game, and you'll be brought to the team selection screen. So this is where you pick which team you want to be for this league. Each team here has their, you can see they have their own logos and their own specific team colors, but they also have a specific offense and a defense. So you can look at, say, the South Dakota Bandits here. On offense, have one running back and three wide receivers, and on defense, have three defensive linemen, one linebacker, three corners, and one safety. And each team has I think there are 6 offensive and 6 defensive packages, and each team has one of each of those. You, as the player, have the ability to change your package in the off season after the first season and in every off season after that. But each of the AI teams will stick with its packages and just try to manage its roster accordingly. So, first thing you do is just pick whichever team you want. We're going to be the Pink Panthers. So we select them, set team and proceed to allocation draft, click that button, and what it is doing now is it's going to create all the players for the allocation draft, and then it will bring you right to the draft screen. Now before you do anything here, you have a couple of options, or a few things you can do. First, if you look at the draft order over here, this is going to be the order of the allocation draft. The allocation draft is a snake draft, so it'll for the first round and every odd round it'll go from 1 to 20, and then for all of the even rounds it'll go from 20 back up to 1. So you can see we have the 15th pick here, and before we start this league, I've decided I want to pick a little bit higher than that. You can click this new draft order button as many times as you want, and what it does is it randomizes the draft order and updates it until it gets to something you like. So let's just say that we really want to have a high pick. We're going to click it a few times. Oh, I see now that we ended up with the number 3 pick. That's good for me. I'm happy with that. So we click Start Draft, and now we're locked in. This is going to be the draft order for the rest of the draft. The tree frogs are on the clock, so you see their logo, and it says right here, tree frogs on the clock. There's nothing you can do here, really, except you can either choose to have them pick their player and go one pick at a time, or you can use some of the auto pick tools. But for right now, we're going to we see the tree frogs are interested in this player here, this Russell Ellis. We hit select player, they pick him, and it automatically moves to the Grizzlies pick. They've identified their player, we'll let it pick there, and now the Pink Panthers are on the clock. So we automatically are shown a highlighted player who our AI coach thinks that we should pick based on, if you look down here, this is our depth chart, and you can see the positions in purple are who we start on our team. We picked a team that had 3 wide receivers and an extra offensive lineman, so 4 offensive linemen, so that's purple. If we click on defense, we can see who our starters are on defense. Click on special teams, you can see who our starters are on special teams. Every team's starters on special teams are the same. It's the offense and the defense that are different. So based on our team roster, our coach thinks that this Florentino Haynes is the best pick for us. And he's pretty good. You can see speed. SPD is speed. He's very high on speed. These ratings all go from 1 to 100. Strength is the next column, and then each of these are just positional. Think of these as the 4 offense position kind of intelligence ratings. These are the 4 defense position ratings, and these are the 3 special teams ratings. So if we want Florentino, we just highlight him. We can do some searching. Maybe we want to sort by quarterback. We click on the quarterback here and find the top guy, or maybe we want to sort by offensive line or linebacker. But if we want to get back to the normal overall sort, click on the money. And what that is their contract. And the way the allocation draft works is they're assigned an initial contract based on their skill level. So the higher contract guys are the higher skill level guys. So that's the way you can get to the default, I guess, overall talent sort. So Florentino's the best player on the board. We highlight him. We want to pick him. We click select player. And you can see he automatically goes on our team, and he's automatically slotted in at the wide receiver 1 spot. You can change this. This is just sort of the computer coach's best attempt at sorting your roster to make it easier for you to draft. So we made our pick. We can't do much now. We can go through the AI picks one at a time if we want. Or you can use the auto pick tools over here. This green My Next Pick button, what that will do is it will auto draft quickly every pick between where you are now and your next pick. So in this case, it'll pick from the Spiders all the way down, and then it'll pick all the way back up until it gets to the Panthers. And that's what we're going to do. So we click that, and boom, we're right back to our pick. So now it's our pick again. And we've been highlighted a defensive player, 96 speed, not a lot of skill on offense, but a very good defensive cornerback. Now that's certainly a good player, but one thing you'll note is if you look at your depth chart, you can see the number of starters is 8, but you only have 12 roster spots, which means that's not enough players to have 8 starters on offense and 8 starters on defense. That would take 16 players. So you're going to have a fair number of your players play both offense and defense. So it's important to look for players who can fill more than one role. So let's just say if you look at this, the top player here, Loop Adams, he not only plays wide receiver pretty well, but he also plays cornerback, and he's also a pretty good kick returner. So that player would fill 3 roles on our team. And that would reduce the need for us to pick towards later in the draft to pick more specialized players. Now this Eldon O'Neill is interesting because he plays 2 positions on defense. And you may want to pick a player like that just to give you some flexibility. So maybe later in the draft you realize there are extra corners and you can maybe pick a corner later. Now Eldon can play linebacker, whereas maybe later in the draft you'll find a linebacker and he can shift over to corner. So finding players that have multiple positions is always a good idea. So we're going to pick this Adams character. Pick him. I don't want to pick one at a time to my next pick. Now it's our turn again. I've decided I probably need to get a quarterback. This one's pretty good. He also plays some defensive line. So I'm going to take him. Next pick. So now let's say I've picked a few, and I've gotten to the point where all the players I was interested in are gone. I don't want to keep picking all my players. I got my favorite guys. That's enough for me. So now I just want to finish the draft up. So this is where this finish picks button will come in play. If I just want it to finish out, and I think the computer does a pretty good job of picking players, but I just want to finish it out, and I'm okay if not every player is who I would pick, but I just want it to be done. You click this, and it will now go through and pick all the rest of the players, picking for you based on your depth chart and who you already had in there, and just finish it up quickly. So now that the draft's over, you're brought immediately to the regular season. So let's go to our roster. You can go by clicking roster at the top. This top bar is sort of your base menu bar. This is where you can get to all of the major screens. And then within the major screens, there are some minor screens too. And you'll see some of these, or you can watch some of the other videos in the Developers League or the development log and see a lot more detail on the minor screens. But in general, we'll go through the big screens here. So this is the roster screen. All your players are listed in this window. You see a bunch of icons up here, and you may see some of these in a lot of other windows, but what they are is this is a player profile. It's kind of the little player inside of a picture. The double player here is the view that you're looking at right now. This is the player ratings view. The dollar, kind of the coin here, is the money view. You look at that. This shows your contracts for your players, how long they're signed, what you have for dead cap space, what your total spend is in the future. So you can toggle between these two to see either the ratings view or the money view. This players moving around picture is the depth chart. You click that to bring up your depth chart. Click it again to go back to this active trade offers window. But once you're in the depth chart, the way you manage your depth chart is just click on the guy that you want to move, and then click on the position you want to move him to. So you can see I want Park. Let's say I want Park at offensive lineman 1. I highlight Park, click on offensive line 1, and he moves up there. Now I want to move him back down. He's still highlighted. I click on offensive line 2, he moves down. I click on offensive line 3, he moves down again. You can do that with anybody. If I want to change my defense, I click on the defense button, and I can do the same thing. So I can move Park up to an active defensive lineman or move him back out. Special teams is the same way. These are all separate, so changing somebody on a special team screen doesn't change them on offense or defense. The other thing you need to do in here is trade block. The trade block is what the computer teams look at when deciding if they want to make a trade offer. Right now we don't have anybody on the trade block, so nobody's going to make us any offers. So to put somebody on the trade block is figure out who you can do without. So let's say Raimundo, I like him, but I want to see what I can get for him. I highlight him, click plus, and he goes on the trade block. Maybe I want to add a few of these guys towards the bottom of my roster. I just click the guys I want to add. Oh, maybe I didn't want to add that guy, so I highlight him and click the minus, and he comes off the block. So that's how the trade block works. You can add or remove guys from the trade block at any time. There's no personality or, I guess, loyalty hit for putting a guy in the trade block. It's just a way to shop guys. So speaking of shopping, you can shop other teams' trade blocks too. And there's an easy way to do it. Just highlight the guy you want to trade or that you want to shop and click the shop player button. You click that. This will bring up all of the players on other teams' trade blocks that they would be interested in trading for this guy. So you just shop this. It's very similar to looking through the draft. You just sort of click, sort however you want to sort. And when you find somebody you're interested in, you highlight them and click trade for player, and it'll automatically bring that player into a formal trade offer. At this point, it's a trade offer because it says in trade negotiation at the top, and there's this thumb up, thumb down button. And the thumb up means, yes, I want to propose this. The thumb down means, no, I don't really want to propose it. So if I hit thumb up, now we're back to my roster screen, and this is an active trade offer. And it's waiting on the Blues to decide. Trade offers are evaluated by the computer at the end of every game. So the Blues will take a look at this after week 1. If you get a trade offer, it'll say Panthers down here, and it'll show up in your inbox. You can evaluate it whenever you want. So that's the difference. So let's say I made this offer and I decided I didn't really want to make that. I can delete that offer too. And now it's not an active offer. So that's trading. You can also release some players here. It's just, you highlight a player, click release, and he's gone. Now you have an empty spot in your roster. If you want to fill that, and you should fill it because the computer will fill it for you if you don't, You go to in-season free agency. It'll say regular season free agency. You just click that button. These are all the players who weren't signed by anybody, so they're not very good. But you just highlight the one you want. He's automatically given a 1 year, $1 salary. You sign him, and he's on your team. Those are just filler type guys. They're not going to be great. So that's managing your roster. So we'll close that. If you go, you can take a look at the standings. Click on the standings. It'll show all the teams, and this is a good way to look at other teams' rosters. So let's say you want to look at the Phoenix. You just click on the Phoenix. You can see their roster. You can see any trade offers they have. So the Storm are trying to make a trade with the Phoenix here. Take a look at their trade block. You can kind of browse teams through the standings pretty easily. So, like the Storm, if I want to look at the Storm. During the season, this will fill up with stats and leaders and the MVP race. Just get a good snapshot of how things are going on in the league. Most of the time during the regular season, you're going to be looking at the schedule. So you get there by clicking schedule. And your options here are simming the week, which will sim all of the computer games, not yours. You can sim my game, which means it will just sim yours. Or you can play my game. And play will just go right into the game screen, the real time, and you can call plays and watch your players play. And that's sort of the traditional coach mode football type game. Feel free to check out a lot of the other videos that I have on the channel. If you want to see how that works, it's very straightforward. It's like every other football game anybody's ever played. You call the play, you hit the button to go, and the players play. It's strictly coach mode. But if you want to get some details on strategy and things that I'm looking for, definitely check into some of the Developer League videos that I have on the YouTube channel. But for this, we're gonna fast sim. So we hit sim week, and you see it's very quick. It simmed all those games in just about a second. Left our game though. So to sim our game, we'll click sim my game, and then as soon as it's done, all the AI teams are evaluating trade offers. It kind of shows you who, top performers of the week. If you want to see how you like the Panthers, we won 28-0. So if we want to kind of see this relative strength of those teams, we click on the game, and it'll bring up this rating. So you could see that on defense, we're pretty dominant. Defensive line and linebacker. Not great in our secondary. But you look at their team, they didn't have a great quarterback. So it kind of makes sense as to why we won. All right, click the X to get out of there. Yeah, so like if we want to look at our next game, we just click on that one. And we look at, the Bobcats probably are a much better team than us. But that's that. So computer teams were evaluating trades. Let's go look at our team. And we did. We got 3 trade offers from the Nemesis. So it looks like the Nemesis are shopping this Irving Marks pretty heavily. They have 3 players identified on our trade block that they want to give us marks for. And he's a good wide receiver, kind of slow. Doesn't really have too much else in the way of skills, but not bad. He wants to trade him for either this guy who really doesn't have a lot of skills. He's probably a defensive lineman. How about this guy? He's a pretty good offensive lineman. I would not make that trade, so I'm going to reject that right now. Reject, and that trade's gone. Let's look at this one. Our quarterback. So he wants to trade that guy for our quarterback, who also plays offensive line. But I'm going to reject that too. So we're left with this one. This actually is a pretty interesting trade. It's not bad. Let's just say we like it. We accept. If we click accept, because we're being offered the trade, so this is our chance to review offers. Hit accept, and that trade is automatically processed. That player's removed from the trade block. If there were other trade offers for the player that we traded away, they would be cleared, but we already canceled them. And if you go to your depth chart, whenever you make a roster move, your depth chart is automatically updated. And you can see he sort of rounds out that really nice looking off wide receiver crew. So that's pretty good. One thing I might want to do is I may want to move Raymond Shorts to quarterback. I mean, he's our top offensive line, but he's a very good quarterback. So I may move him over there. Let's move Blanchard down to our third offensive line. And that's what our depth chart is going to look like now. So we made some moves. Let's keep simming. See how things go. We sim that, and we get some more trade offers. I'm not going to go through all of them though. But that's the process. It's you do a week, see if you got some trade offers, see if you want to make some trades, do the next week, check your roster management. If you end up being very happy with your roster like I am right now, you could just sim through week after week. Kind of speed the season along a little bit. Week 7 is the trade deadline, so now that we've simmed this week, we can't make trades anymore. And you notice it doesn't. The AI is not even evaluating trades anymore. What the AI is doing is it's re-signing its players, and this is important to do. So if we go to our finances screen, you can look, say the Schwartz guy, this McCarty guy, and these two right here, House and Brock, are all in the last year of their deal. And when a player is in the last year of his deal, he's eligible to be re-signed. So what you do is, the process is you highlight the player, go to their player profile, and this is where your contract negotiation for extensions is. The blue numbers are what the player is asking for. The white number is what the player already has locked in contract. So you can see in this case that Raimundo wants 4 years for $15 a year. Now he's 35. I think that's too long. So what I can do is I can use the clock to change the number of years. And let's just say I want to give him 2 years. Well, now it turned red, and that means he's not happy with that, and he won't accept it. So what you can do to make him happy again is add more money. He gets happy again if I give him $18 for 2 years instead of 4 years at 14. And maybe I think that's a pretty good trade-off. I mean, he's my starting quarterback now. He's old, but in 2 years at $18 is a pretty good deal. So because it's blue, he's going to accept that. If it were red, he would not. So I hit offer contract, he's accepted it, and now you see it's all white, which means that is locked in. If I go to my contract page, you can see his contract is now locked in at $15 this year, $18 the next 2 years. So if I wanted to do McCarty and House, I would do the same process. If I don't, their contracts will be up at the end of the year, and they'll just go into the free agency pool, and everybody will get to bid on them. So that's what the computer teams are doing as we finish out the season. They're resigning the guys that they think are really valuable. And they're going to let the guys go that they don't think are worth the money. So we get to the playoffs, and we can see the Panthers made the playoffs. Check the standings. You can see we won our division, undefeated. Nice. You can see all the leaders. Whoever, Haynes won the MVP. That's pretty nice. So just get a feel for that. But we'll go to the schedule. Keep going. So we sim the week. Our game still needs to be simmed. Sim hours. We won. So we move on. Sim the week. Our games, we could play or sim, but I'm just going to sim it. And we won again, so we're in the championship. And because it's my game, we sim my game, and we won the championship. Excellent. I know if I would have probably picked my team, it wouldn't have turned out so well, but, Anyway. So that's it for the season. There's nothing left we can really do. We're past the point of roster management. If we want to do one or two last renegotiations, we could do that now. But we're presented with this end season button. That's really all there is to do. If you look at the what's coming window here, upcoming is the off season. So that's the next step. So we click that. It saves all the stats. retires a bunch of players, releases all the guys who are going to be in free agency, and it brings us to the rookie draft. You look at now, we're in the rookie draft. We have, where are we? Why can't I find this? We have the 11th pick. Anyway, so we have the 11th pick. The Swarm are on the clock. So this is a little bit different than the allocation draft in that you actually can do some things when it's not your pick. So one of the things you can do is you can try to trade up. So how do you do that? So the Swarm are on the clock, and they've highlighted the guy they're interested in. Let's say I want to get this pick. I click the Get Pick button, and what will happen is it will fill in down here all the players that the Swarm would be willing to trade this pick for. And you know, these are players that are much better than who I would take with this pick, so I'm not really all that interested in doing this. So I click the select player to have the Swarm take their guy, and now it's the Magma's turn. And you can kind of shop. We click at this time, and the Magma just are not interested in anybody on our roster because nobody popped up here. So we can't even trade up for this. So we'll have them take their player. Now the Bobcats come up, and a bunch of players show up automatically. And you'll notice they're all from other teams. So what that is these are players other teams are trying to trade up to get this pick, and this is who they're offering. So now if I hit Get Pick, it's only going to show the players that are better than what's already been offered. So there's a pretty good chance if you see this window's full, there's a pretty good chance that pick's in demand and the asking price from you is going to be much higher. So again, I'm not interested in any of these. Still, price is too high. I'm just going to keep going because I'm not interested in any of these. Oh, all of a sudden let's just say we get to a point where, now this obviously doesn't make any sense, but let's just say that I'm really, really interested in, I don't know, this guy. I really want Marcel Hall. And I'm worried somebody's going to take him before it's my pick. So I hit the Get Pick, and the Tree Frogs are up, and I see, I could trade this Marcel Sharp to get this pick. And I really want to do that because I really want this Hall guy. So what I do is I highlight the guy who I'm willing to trade. I click the Make Trade button, and it immediately means I'm on the clock now because I just traded that guy for this pick. And now I can click around, I can take Marcel Hall. So I select player, and you notice over here it says that I picked him. So now again it's the computer team's turn, and we'll just say that I don't want to go one by one. We'll just buzz over to my pick. Yeah, click my next pick just like in the allocation draft, and just cruise over to my pick. Now, if anybody wanted to trade with me, they would offer a trade down here, but nobody wants to trade with me. So my options now are either to make this pick or to skip it. And let's just say I either had a full roster or I just didn't think these guys were really worth this kind of money because, I mean, this guy right here is going to cost me $9 if I pick him. And let's just say I don't have a need for any of these guys. I can skip the pick, and I'm going to skip it. And what happens is it just goes over me, and I don't get a player. It's just like I wasn't there in the draft. So now it's the Horde's turn, and they can pick a player, but I just skipped, and I didn't spend that money. So we'll go to my next pick. And it's auto drafting and doing trades and all that stuff. And it goes to my pick, and you can see we're near the end of the draft. There's nobody good left. I'm definitely not going to spend the money or the roster spot on any of these guys. So I skip this pick again. And now I just want to get to the end of the draft, and I just click Finish Picks. So once the draft's over, look at this. We're in free agency. And let's go take a look at our roster. You can see we're short on players now. Looks like we need 1, 2, 3 players. So we need 3 players, probably in the defensive secondary. Yeah, probably a kicker. I don't know. This guy could play kicker. I can't. So we need maybe a kicker and some guys in the secondary. So let's go to free agency. This down here, this 2019 cap space, this is what you have to work with. We have $33. You look at the players. This is what's available in free agency. Looks like kind of a thin free agency class, but that just means there's probably going to be some bidding wars for players. We only have 33, so we're kind of locked out of the top player. Let's sort by corner. There's a guy. This guy's pretty good. This 22-year-old, $25. We can afford him. He plays corner. That's good. Any safeties? No. So this is probably who we're going to have to go after. So you click on him, and it automatically brings up what he's asking for. He's asking for $25 for 1 year. Just like extensions, I can offer more or less in years, more or less in dollars. But what they ask for is sort of their base. Hey, I expect this. There's nobody else really great in free agency, so I might decide I want to go a little bit high on this guy. So I might just say I want to go $30 for 2 years on him. Set that up, offer contract. He pops down here in my outstanding offers window. Doesn't use the cap space yet because I haven't actually signed him. And then maybe there's another guy I want to go after. Is there anybody I can go after for $3? No, there really isn't. So I'm just going to go with this for right now. It's day 1, so you just click next day to go to day 2. And you'll notice he still really likes our offer. He's got the smiley face, but this little number went up. It's now 2, and what that means is 2 teams are bidding on him. So if I click on him, the things to take note of are what's the dollar value of the current market for this guy. It's $30. So that's the current market. My bid is $30. So that to me that says I'm setting the market on him. And because he's happy, chances are that other team is being outbid by me. Or they're bidding the same as me, but he likes my team more. If he started to get a little maybe less excited, like if he had a little smile like this, maybe I would give him another $1, something like that to make him happy. But I'm just going to roll the dice. Let's see what happens. So we go next day again. Nobody's signed yet. Teams are kind of bidding over each other. This is the negotiation type phase. So again, still up. Uh-oh. So now we look at Damon, and now the market's gone up to 32. So now we don't have the top bid anymore. But he's still happy, and more chances are he likes our offer because he fits really well with our team. But now things are getting dicey because somebody's offering him more money than we are. So we got to make a decision. Do we stay at 30 or do we try to up our offer? In this case, I'm going to go back to the years he wanted, and I'm going to offer him 33. He's getting less excited about our offer now for some reason. I'm curious as to who's offering him a better deal. And let's take a look. He hasn't signed still. And now he signed, and he went to the Kraken for 32 for a year. So somebody probably bailed out. My guess here is what happened is he really liked us. We finally, the other team that we were bidding against bailed out, and the Kraken came in at the last second, and he really liked them more than us, so we lost out on that guy. But that's okay. So now we still have our $33, and we can go shopping. But there's just nobody who's any good. So that's part of the trick here is you got to figure out how to use your money effectively. So maybe I like this guy. I'm going to offer him a $15. Maybe there's nobody else that I like. So you could just save the money too. So like for this guy, he's less excited than Lee was. And of course, eventually he went to the Horde. Now, I've just decided there's nobody in here that I'm really excited about. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save my money and keep going through days. And what you'll notice is the demand for this top player is dropping. He's realizing there's no market for him. He wants to get on a team. So his value's dropping. And eventually he hits a number we can offer, $33. He's only going to want, because we're at the end of free agency and he's dropped his number so much, he's really only going to accept a 1-year deal. You can try to extend it. There's chances are it's going to be a lot harder now. But we can now at least make him an offer that he's willing to listen to. So you do that. And he ended up not signing it. What that means is he's going to go back into the free agency pool and somebody's going to pick him up for a 1-year deal and he's going to be a free agent again next year. So when you're done free agency, we didn't sign all our players, but that's okay. We still have some empty roster spots. That'll be fine. Click the end free agency button. You go to training camp. This is where you can change what your offense and defense are. So maybe I decided all of a sudden I want to get a running back in the mix. So maybe I go 2 wide receiver, running back, and a line. Maybe I want to change my defense up. I want to go to 3 defensive linemen. So now's the time you choose that. You just click on whatever you want to run. Training camp, you just click on what you want the players to train on, and it highlights it. If you want to take it off, you click on it again. Or you can just click Auto Training Camp, and your AI coach will do its best to fill in everybody with what it thinks is the most optimal. A lot of times you may want to go in and just fine-tune it a little bit. For the most part, it's pretty good, but it may take a little fine-tuning if you just know you want to do something special for somebody. You click End Training Camp, and boom, you're right back into the next season. So if you go to your roster, you remember we had those 3 empty roster spots we couldn't fill. Those 3 spots automatically get filled with $1 players. So everybody goes into the season with a full roster. You always have a full roster. You look at the standings. A couple of teams went over the cap, but that's okay. Where are we? We're under the cap, $220. The salary cap is $250. So we have some room to make some trades. So we could probably work on this roster a little bit and make some trades. But it's just like that last season. You go through every season, set your trade block at the beginning of the season, shop players to try to fit your strategy a little bit, your strategy and your style a little more. So like say, now we got a running back, but we never really had a running back before. So maybe I want to move some guys. Maybe I want to move a wide receiver to get a running back. So it's just things like that. Work your roster, make your trade offers, go to schedule, sim your games, then you go into the off season and you just repeat over and over and over. And then build up your league history. So, like I said before, that's kind of how you play the game. That's the basics of it. If you want to see more details about things and maybe listen to some strategy about how maybe I manage my team or things I'm looking for during the actual gameplay in the coach mode, or building a roster in the off seasons, things that I'm looking for, things different strategy tips, please check out the Developers League videos that I have on the YouTube site, on the YouTube channel. Also check maybe the Developers Log, and you can hear some of the, I guess, more behind the scenes details about why things work the way they work, and maybe can give you some good ideas about how to manage your team. But other than that, I hope you have fun. If you have questions, definitely hit the Steam discussion boards, or I'll have a link on the Steam board for the Discord chat channel. Hit that up and ask some people. Definitely check out the YouTube channel, and I hope you have fun. Thank you.